At the center ice position, I go all the way to the top because I'm guaranteeing that Auston Matthews will get goal number 50 and maybe a few more points in a matchup against Winnipeg. He had them for lunch last year.
And that guarantee
Wow, Paul.
was good.
Paul, you are absolutely on fire right now. RotoWire's Paul Bruno.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Pat yourself on the back. We give you love when you deserve it and when you've earned it. Dude, yesterday, huge day though, right? Real talk for Auston Matthews. So he becomes the first American-born player to score 50 goals in a season since the 97-98 year. He's also the fastest to 50 goals in a season, that's 62 games, since 95-96. Oh my gosh.
Pretty
Paul, your guy can do it all right now.
Yeah, he's on fire, and he's been that way ever since he came in the league as a scorer. He's got more goals than any player since he got his debut in the NHL. Obviously, that was a special night too. 4 goals in his first ever game. So he's been doing it from the get-go, and I don't see him slowing down anytime soon. He's like a bull out there. He makes his way, and it's funny. He only has 9 penalties drawn against him. He just fights through a lot of the holding and hooking and all that sort of thing to get to where he wants to be. And I sometimes wish he'd just take a bit of a dive and draw those penalties, but he's been fun to watch. There's no question.
Mm-hmm. Geoff, how's it feel watching him, Auston Matthews, kind of do his thing, put up all these ridiculous numbers like halfway across your country?
Yeah, I mean, it's okay. I mean, maybe one day the Leafs will win a playoff series, and what Auston Matthews is doing will actually matter, Paul. But
I used to like you, Geoff.
That's why they brought me on today. I haven't done NHL. They wanted to cool you off. You're too on fire. They needed me to bring in the fire extinguishers. But it is a pleasure. Auston Matthews, obviously, premier goal scorer in the league. Like Paul said, I mean, he's just got that size. He fights through a lot of this stuff. And, you know, if the Leafs can ever find some goaltenders that don't get hurt, they can play better for more than a couple weeks. They probably will do something in the playoffs. I don't know if it'll be this year, though, but we'll see.
Yeah, they're obviously in a heated race right now as well in that Atlantic division.
Absolutely. Let's get to tonight's slate, though, as everybody continues. 7 games. Who do you want to pay up for at center, Geoff? Connor McDavid, so much more expensive than everybody else at 9,300.
That's Jeff's guy.
Well, he's my guy, but I mean, like Paul, I mean, let's go with the next guy to hit 50 goals here, in Leon Draisaitl. You're saving $800 to go down to him. Talking about being on fire, I mean, this dude has 11 goals in his last 10 games. He's got 5 in his last 3. I'd be almost shocked if Leon doesn't get to the 50 goal total tonight just to match Auston Matthews. I wouldn't be shocked if he got a couple to maybe exceed him and retake the lead. These guys care about these things. These two have been locked in lockstep, you know, just in terms of like the goal scoring race for multiple years now, Matthews and Draisaitl. So it's a little bit tougher matchup against St. Louis. You know, they got a bit of they don't have the soft matchup that against Winnipeg that Auston Matthews did last night. But I do like paying down for Draisaitl, 8,500. Too big a gap between him and McDavid tonight. I'll just take the red hot Leon Draisaitl to start lineups out.
Paul, what's your take?
Did you huddle up with AJ and Pete overnight, Geoff? I'm wondering because I see a fire out of you that I haven't seen all year. But anyway, I'm going to fade the Edmonton duo. That's my shot fired across your bow. They are on the road in St. Louis, and the Blues are a team that I've been touting for weeks as one that I would rather avoid down the stretch and into the playoffs particularly. They're a very deep club. They've got a very sound defensive structure, and Billy Husso's playing very well. So fading those two guys. Instead, I'm going over to a guy like a Jack Eichel leading the Knights into a very favorable matchup against Seattle in a game they have to get. So that motivation, his shot rate of over 4 per game, that looks good enough for me to pay up to $7,200 to get him based on his accumulated numbers over the last 10 starts. And speaking of best matchups, you have to ask yourself, who's playing Detroit on a night when they're on the schedule? Tonight, that's Ottawa, and that means I take their number 1 center, Josh Norris, priced at $5,900 after scoring 6 goals in his last 10 games.
Okay, Paul, how about the wings and things department here, dude? Nikita Kucherov under $8,000 tonight.
You know what? That's why I faded the top 2 guys in Edmonton. I want to spend up on the wing, and I'm going to go to Philip Forsberg for $8,000 rather. He's got a long scoring streak under his belt, 17 points in his last 10 games. I like his shot rate between 3 and 4 per game in his last 10, and he gets a pretty good matchup in Buffalo tonight as well. can't overlook the Rangers' top scorer either. Chris Kreider's been matching the two big guys that we already covered on a game-per-game basis. He's got 8 goals in his last 10 starts, only priced at $7,300. And they got a good matchup, as I said, with the Islanders coming in. It's a rivalry game, but the Rangers will be ready. They need it. And then in an injury-riddled season for the Golden Knights, Jonathan Marchessault's been their leading scorer and point getter throughout, and solid soldier, consistent scorer, 12 points in his last 10 starts. I note that he's averaging over 4 shots a game as well, and he's got a great matchup in Seattle tonight, costing only $6,500.
All right, Geoff, you're already poor because you spent $8,500 on Draisaitl. So what are you doing here in the wing department?
Yeah, thanks for reinforcing that. But I did have a plan. There is a plan in place here, and we're going to go cheap on wing. We're going to go Yevgeny Dadonov. Eichel playing alongside Jack Eichel, and I don't mind the Eichel call either. Obviously playing the Kraken again, who they just beat 3-0. This line didn't even really have to score in that win either, but I mean, like, the chances are going to be there. Dadonov's been very good of late, ever since he nearly got traded and then didn't, and then all that stuff happened. He's got 10 points in his last 10 games, seven goals over that span. So he's finally heated up. He's a streaky scorer, but look, he's basically playing the top line role. I don't know how you don't go there. And you can certainly look to the Oilers wingers too, like a Pulpujärvi or a Kyler Yamamoto. But if you want some if you need some real punt play action, don't write off the Anaheim Ducks tonight. They're going up against a depleted Arizona Coyotes squad. You got guys like Derek Grant, even Sonny Milano at the bare minimum. I wouldn't shy away from that if you need a punt play for your lineups.
Okay.
All right, let's talk D. Is there a D-man you think could break the slate here, Geoff? Roman Josi is so expensive. This guy is going to cost you $9,000, but he has extended his point streak to 12 games. Like, he's kind of on fire.
Yeah, I mean, kind of on fire. He's been on fire for like the last month and a half, so it feels like if you're not going to pay up for center, you can certainly pay all the way up for Roman Josi. He is certainly playing that well, but I defense lately, there's just been good mid-tier value, even like under 5K value, and there's a couple guys that I wouldn't be hesitant to roster here. Justin Faulk playing big minutes for St. Louis. Paul mentioned they're playing well. And Faulk feels like a player who, just with all the exposure he's getting, he should be putting up a few more points than usual. So I really wouldn't be shocked if he broke through here for a point or two against the Oilers, who, really just mediocre defensive team and don't have good goaltending. And then Kevin Shattenkirk again. I mean, I like the Ducks tonight. I think they finally break through, and we'll get to that in a second. But I mean, Shattenkirk's averaging over 4 block shots plus shots on goal in his last 10 games. He's getting, some power play exposure still for the Ducks, and it's just, a weaker penalty kill and just a weak defensive squad going up against in the Coyotes. So I think Shattenkirk at 4,600, a good roster tonight as well.
All right, Paul, I know you're not going to pay up for a defenseman, so where are you going?
Well, you got to look at Josi, though, Jesse. The guy is on pace for a 100-point season. It's just that I pour a little water on that when I see, even though he's got 20 points in his last 10 games, 17 of those are assists, and I only pay up for goal scorers. So that's why I discount Josi. No disrespect other than that intended. I would rather pay up for a guy like Victor Hedman, for instance. $6,800 is his price tag. He's got 5 goals and 34 shots on goal, along with 19 blocks. That leads to a healthy almost 15 DraftKings points per game over his last 10 starts. Gets a Chicago club that's in a bit of disarray, and they're giving up goals with the best of them right now. Or should I say the worst of them, I guess. But I prefer also to go to cheaper defensemen, you know that. And so one who stands out for me is Matias Ekhong for only $3,200. You get him despite the fact at that price, but despite the fact he's got 7 points and 32 shots on goal over his last 10 starts and gets a solid matchup against the Sabres.
All right, Geoff, let's wrap up with your best bet, 7-game NHL slate. I think you just teased something with the Ducks.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Ducks obviously weren't as good as they were, the record at the start of the year indicated. They're also not as bad as the 0-10 or whatever they're at this point either. They're going up against a Coyotes squad. It's without Landon Krause, no Clayton Keller, no Jacob Chychrun. They're just shorthanded. And, the Ducks played the Stars pretty close over the last two games. There was losses, but John Gibson playing a little bit better. I think the Ducks get it done tonight. And I'm fine taking them even on the puck line here at plus 190. Like, I think if they break through early, this one could kind of get lopsided. So it's a big number on the puck line, like a plus 190, and it's big enough for me to take. So I like the Ducks. You can just hit them at the money line at minus 125. But either way, I think they break their streak tonight.
All right, Paul, what you want?
He's not going to make me watch that game, is he? That's
Yeah.
too
You don't have to
long.
watch it. You can bet it. You don't have to watch it. I won't be watching it. I'll tell you that much.
I like 3 puck line bets, guys. I like the Rangers on the puck line -1.5 for a 140 payoff against the Islanders. I think they're just too good and too consistent for the New York Islanders the way they're going. I've also been on the Preds the whole show with my prior answer, so it makes sense that I'll take them on the puck line for a 135 win. And then Vegas can't afford to stumble in Seattle, so I'll take them on the puck line as well and grab that 150 payoff over there too.